What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Zoom again, and this time we are here with Swempa and Wicked Nick of Altareth. Those are the names as per Metal Archives. I just had to bring that up, but thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah,
I forgot about those names. Actually, I don't know who coined them, but you know.
yeah. Well, I wanted to ask, why did you do away with those names? It sounds so cult. Everybody would think that you guys are like the next Mayhem.
Yeah, that's the purpose of the names, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe we should bring them back then.
Yeah, who knows? This is a sign. This is a sign. You got to bring those names back. I think that they're awesome. And then you all need to have solo projects with those names as well. I think they'll all be exciting.
Yeah.
Of course. We're working on the solo albums.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. We need more new music. You can never have too much new music. But thanks so much for being here today. Speaking of new music, we have Blood that came out this year. Being that this was the debut album, what was the sort of thought process going into it? Obviously, you know, it's the first album, you want to hit the ground running. How did Blood sort of see the light of day? Was there like a preconceived idea or something like that?
Yes, the song Blood, we started working on that one a couple of years back. So the theme wasn't, in place when we started working on a whole album. So it sort of grew on us for a while. And then we thought, why not? It's a good theme. It's in-depth symbolic theme that we could use, for the concept and our idea about the music of the band and so forth.
Mm-hmm. And actually the whole album is it's two different recordings that we have put together, because we recorded 3 songs back in 2019, I think, 2 years ago. That was the 3 songs that Magnetic Eye first heard and then wanted to release as an EP, and then we decided to record 4 new songs and put them together.
So it was
make the whole album.
So did being that you wrote 2 of the songs back in 2019 and 2 years later we're hearing this, did the idea for Blood maybe change a lot over a span of time? Because in addition you also released a couple of EPs like This Could Have Been a Cult and
those were 3 of the songs that are now on the album.
Yeah. And you also had the Bury Your Mind and Moss EP from 2015. So do you feel that that maybe Blood changed a lot over a span of time? The idea for Blood changed a lot, or were you kind of sticking with the same concept?
I don't know. I think when we decided to release the album and record those 4 newest songs, maybe those kind of formed the basic, the most of the idea around the album, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most of the stuff were basically coming together during the recording of This Could Be a Cult in terms of the sound that we were sort of aiming for. And the sort of the groundwork were in place about then, but then we sort of tried to develop, obviously, when we wrote the 4 newer songs for the album. But the ground was pretty much This Could Be a Cult EP, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I listen to Blood, I feel like, Eternal Sleep, Moon, Empty, the title track Blood, or Satan Hole, like I feel like they all have like a consistent element behind it, and I think like everybody could appreciate one song. I can't see a listener having a favorite song because I think everything cultivates together so well. So was consistency maybe what was on your mind with the making of this album? You kind of didn't want every song playing by its own rules?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I guess everyone wants to have a sort of a common sound feel when they produce a whole album. That's my guess, at least. And we also aimed for that, but we have these, sort of old school way of doing things. So we like to do songs quite in a traditional way, you know, with a strong chorus, and then a verse, and then we also try to figure out ways to include, you know, like an old school bridge or something that sticks out from songs. So you could feel
working on the arrangements, you know, that's a big thing.
I know that this is a cliche question to ask, and most musicians I know hate this question, but when I listen to Altareth's music, I do see a lot of, as you mentioned, like old school influences, ranging from Black Sabbath to, you know, some of the stoner doom metal. Like I think people who like bands like Sleep or Neurosis could appreciate Altareth as well. Like, so I am curious to what are like the influences. Were you like looking at more old school bands, or was there any more like modern influences as well that helped influence the sound of Altareth?
It's it's always you know you can't deny the influences, but we never had like this idea that we need a song that sounds like this band or that band or something like that. But I don't know.
I guess one way to put it is that I mean, we love the newer stuff, of course, because it would be strange to say that we are not part of the stoner doom genre in a way. But we always felt that we would like to include more, traditional songwriting and work a lot of in terms of vocals and harmonies and so forth. So maybe that would push us towards the Black Sabbath stuff in that sense, or the old school bands, because they were closer to, you know, classic rock and roll and those things. But now a lot of bands seem to focus a lot on riffs.
Yeah,
sounds.
we didn't want to feel like we had any limitations as to what we could put on there, you know, in terms of melodies and strange ideas and instruments and harmonies and stuff like that. So if we had an idea, we always test it, you know, in the studio, and everyone has different you know, perspectives and histories, and we all have a quite different musical backgrounds, I think. So everyone's influences, you know, in very strange ways sometimes.
Yeah.
But we always try it out, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't. But sometimes the outcome can be quite surprising, and
that's the beautiful thing about art. You always take a new approach to something. You never know how many gates can open for it.
Yeah. And we don't feel like, okay, if we can't pull it off live, then, you know, we shouldn't do it. We just do it anyway, and live will be a different thing. You know, we can't have horns and stuff like that.
Yet you never know. I would love to see a stoner.
Yeah, of course.
I would love to see a stoner doom symphony. I don't really know, like, cause like there's been a lot of symphonic, you know, elements in black metal and death metal and, you know, power metal and all that, but there has yet to be stoner symphony. I would love to see somebody, you know, smoking weed out of the tuba.
Yeah,
that would be something.
Yeah, you need a lot of.
It's definitely coming.
Okay.
Yes.
Definitely.
It is.
Definitely. I'll hold you to that. I will hold you to that. Now, you mentioned that there is sort of like a concept. Hey, how's it going? You mentioned that there is sort of like a concept that was revolving around blood. Do you want the album to be relatively open to interpretation, or do you want the listener to be engaged in the concept as much as the music itself?
I guess that the way that we approach it is that it's definitely something that would be open for a listener in terms of making her or his, engaged in the way that she or he would like to interpret it all the way through the music or the lyrics or the concept of the art. But for us, it's important with its strong concept, you know, the whole history of blood. together with the darkness and the feel of the music is definitely a way for us to, you know, it's a nice way for us to wrap it up, sort of. But we don't there's seldom are people in this business that would like to, you know, put everything out there on the table in the open. It's not the way that it works, really, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the word blood, I mean, obviously we all know what blood is, but it almost seems like blood like could be a great metaphor for something. Like blood could represent passion, it could represent love, it could represent hatred, it could represent any positive or negative emotion. Was blood, but you know, obviously blood also makes for some great imagery and a great literal term for metal in general. So like, and again, I know like what does the record name mean is kind of like a shallow question, but was blood meant to be like an external metaphor for something else, or were you meant to approach it very literally?
I'd say that it's definitely part of the idea of using such a strong word. Use the history of the word, just the symbolism of the word. You know, it's part of the covenant between heaven and the people on earth as well. So it's a lot of religious and spiritual associations with blood. You have to sacrifice your blood in order to get in contact with other worlds. And so there's a whole lot of, you know, deep history of the word. So that's definitely part of it as well. And that's why we like it. That's why we use it.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm asking this a little far in advance, but are there ideas of concepts for what you're going to address on the next album already? Have we already put pen to paper in writing for the follow-up to Blood?
No lyrical themes or something, anything like that yet, I think. Haven't discussed it, but we're definitely working on a lot of new stuff, I think. But we haven't nothing like we decided yet.
Okay. For your songwriting, do you all find it easier to maybe come up with song ideas when you're in the company of each other, or do you think that it's easier to write riffs or lyrics or any song structure when you're more alone in isolation?
Yeah, I think we do. There's no jamming really in the rehearsal space. We bring our ideas there. We send stuff to each other that we record at home most of the time, I think, and then we really work on the arrangements together. So there's not many times where, you know, we come up with new riffs when we rehearse or anything like that, but we put them together. So well, it's I guess it's both ways. But most of the basic ideas, I think, we record ourselves.
Okay. And the final question I wanted to ask you is actually the current scene in Sweden, because when you told me you were from Gothenburg, I was like, wow, you know, the home of Dark Tranquillity, At the Gates, and like there's plenty of bands where like I feel like there's a couple of underground bands in Sweden where like they're from Gothenburg, but they have to say disclaimer, we sound nothing like At the Gates, Dark Tranquillity, In Flames, or any of those bands, and you guys definitely don't. One Swedish band that I did think of actually was Lucifer when I listened to Blood for the first time, and that's sort of like for your style, for lack of better words, for that stoner doom style that, you know, people are gonna probably label you under. Is there kind of like a scene for your style as well? Because I think Sweden is a very diverse music scene, not just a metal scene, you know.
Do you mean if there's a scene here in Gothenburg or nation in Sweden?
In Sweden in general.
We had some contact with the guys from Domkraft, our labor mates. We spoke to them recently about this, and they're from Stockholm.
I interviewed them.
And we share. yeah, you know them. So I mean, I think that we both share this. I mean, the experience and the feeling that there's not that much of a scene in terms of doom stoner scene yet, even neither in Gothenburg nor in Stockholm. But there are definitely some strong, bands and artists around. But not that I know of in the sense. I mean, we have small clubs that arrange specific nights for stoner or doomish bands, but not on a regular basis in that sense.
Yeah. How would you define stoner anything though, like stoner music? Because I like to get stoned to Slayer, but I'll also get stoned to Whitney Houston. So like how would you define like stoner music? Like I feel like when you're stoned, everything sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, take it away, Sven.
No, I don't know. The stoner genre for me, I haven't gotten any further than what the original stoner bands like Kais and stuff like that. I think there haven't been much progress in that scene. So I don't know if I would label us as a stoner band either. I don't know.
But who knows? You gotta upstage it though. I'm gonna hold you to this. Make a stoner symphony, and everybody has to smoke out of their woodwind and brass instruments.
Yeah,
Wizards. Yes.
sounds like a good thing, good idea for the next album. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe.
definitely. A stoner symphony. But thank you guys so much for your time today. Everybody, we are here with Altareth. Be sure to check out Blood if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We will see
Do
you
it.
next
Yes.
time.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.